How do plants keep things under control? They weed out unnecessary drama and ask troublemakers to leave. Good morning and welcome. My name is Allison Heiner with the McGregor FFA chapter, and today we'll be talking about a certain acid that we need to weed out. And this is called prussic acid. But before we get too far, let's dive into the intriguing history of this problem. For centuries, it has been suggested that some crops were poisonous to animals, but it was confirmed in the early 1900s that there was a common factor in this suggestion. It was indeed prussic acid, also known as hydrogen cyanide, or a more common term, PA. Plants that produce PA only produce it under certain circumstances. The cyanogenic or prussic acid producing parts are located in one part of plant cells, while the enzymes that trigger the reaction to create PA are located in another. Under normal circumstances, there is no contact between the two. However, anything that causes plant cells to rupture permits them to merge to create the acid. Plant cells are ruptured by any cutting, frost or freezing, drought, crushing, trampling, or chewing. Once plants containing PA have been eaten, the toxin promptly enters the bloodstream, where it is transported to the tissues and inhibits the utilization of oxygen and unfortunately causes a form of asphyxiation. Prussic acid poisoning is also often confused with nitrate poisoning, which are both common problems with asphyxiation in livestock and are often very similar. You can distinguish them in an autopsy by the color of blood, which in the case of nitrate poisoning is a dark chocolate brown, and in the case of prussic acid poisoning is a bright cherry red. One of the most common climatic reasons for prussic acid poisoning is frost or drought. This causes plant cells to rupture, allowing the acid to be released. If so, then the danger of poisoning increases while the plant is frozen or dry for a week or two. Consequently, it is not advisable to graze on a sorghum or Sudan grass during or immediately after a drought or freeze, unless you are absolutely sure that there is no potential for any poisoning with any plants. Now that we have gained an understanding for what prussic acid is, let's look at exactly how it affects the livestock we have grown to know and love. PA affects primarily ruminant animals such as cattle and sheep, who are more susceptible to prussic acid rather than monogastric animals such as horses or pigs. The lower pH level in the stomach of the monogastric helps destroy the enzymes that convert the cyanogenic glycosides to prussic acid. This affects traveling livestock greater than others due to the fact that they are accustomed to native plants rather than the ones that they consume on the road. Another factor that plays into the severity of the poisoning is hunger. Hungry animals are more susceptible to the poisoning because they will normally consume a greater amount of toxic material at a time. This overload of prussic acid can overwhelm an animal's ability to metabolize PA into the non-toxic thiocyanate. Large amounts of acid can therefore be absorbed and lead to poisoning. Now you might be wondering, how does this affect humans? Well, have you ever wondered why they tell you not to eat apple seeds? It's because of prussic acid. The seeds of apples contain a toxin called amygdalin. When eaten, this toxin can react with the enzymes in the stomach and lead to poisoning. PA can cause allergic reactions and can be harmful. The amygdalin releases a poison in the gut and can cause stomach ache, illness, and can be fatal. Suffice it to say, this dangerous poison can be harmful to humans, but in most cases is only lethal to ruminant animals such as cattle, sheep, goats, and even camels. Now, before we wrap this up, allow me to step away from what seems catastrophic to the very best part: prevention. For many years, farmers have been struggling to do away with prussic acid poisoning, but have only found small practices to reduce it. These practices include 1. Not allowing green chop or grazing on forage species that are more than 18 to 24 inches in height. 2. not allowing green chop or grazing on letting hungry cattle graze. 3. Not allowing chopped forage to ferment for 6 to 8 weeks before feeding. And last but not least, 5. Allowing not grazing when frost or drought is anticipated. These are all common practices used by farmers, and there are many others. Rotational grazing also has its notable advantages. For example, it allows for the production of more pasturage from a given area because the grass can get a good start and produce a large amount of leaf surface before being pastured. It is in the actively growing young leaves that much of the carbohydrate and protein manufacturing takes place. If these leaves are grazed off as soon as formed, the grass does not have the advantage with a period of carbohydrates and proteins, and hence rapid growth can occur. In rotational grazing, crops have the advantage of a quick growth phase, allowing less time for PA poisoning to take place. In conclusion, prussic acid poisoning was proposed earlier on but confirmed in the early 1900s. It was established that certain plants were dangerous to animals because they contained the acid. PA affects primarily ruminant animals such as cattle and sheep, who are more susceptible to the poisoning rather than monogastric animals such as horses and pigs. Prussic acid can be found in everyday foods such as the seeds of apples that contain a naturally occurring toxin called amygdalin. It is imperative that everyone understands the importance of this issue, and hopefully soon we will be seeing how we are weeding out this dangerous poison from our everyday lives. Thank you.